Reminiscence. So Reminiscence is starring Hugh Jackman, and he's a scientist who is trying to find his long lost love. So now he has to go on a hunt by accessing people's memories by using the Reminiscence machine. But before we get into my review, let's go ahead and hear what some of the public, some of the fellow moviegoers had to say in last night's screening of Reminiscence.
I thought the story was really original, and the culmination and the ending was unexpected and satisfying.
It was neat. It was a neat look into a potential future, somewhat dark future, but some really neat ideas about what that might look like, and with a kind of classic tale of lost love woven into that kind of futuristic world.
But I thought it was interesting. It was futuristic. It felt there was a lot of sci-fi. It showed Miami in the future, and you could see like the effects of climate change. There's some virtual reality kind of reading into dreams as well.
I loved all the plot twists. I like the fact that it combines sci-fi with a bit of action, mystery, romance, all the combinations in there. That was good.
The look at the future, the kind of dystopian future they live in, was a little dark for my taste at the moment, because I feel like it's a little real. I mean, I'm kind of like, oh, great, here comes this terrible future world.
It's really just around the corner.
Right, but kind of like the love story throughout, it was a good payoff. Like there was a mystery kind of woven throughout, which I liked, and then the payoff was actually, like you said, satisfying, and not a. Sometimes you get disappointed when there's a mystery, and I wasn't disappointed. I was like, good, that was a good payoff.
The plot worked well. It felt like the first 20 minutes was a little labored.
I think I liked the second half of the movie better. I think in the beginning, I wasn't quite sure where it was going with the kind of the virtual reality and reading people's dreams and things. But then I think the plot started to make sense and fit together more kind of towards the middle and the end. I think the first half, it kind of built up the suspense. The second half, it kind of everything fell in place. It made more sense. It was suspenseful. Had a really good ending too.
I wouldn't say slow. I hate to say this, maybe a little clunky. Yeah,
it felt like a complicated setup.
I felt like the dialogue was a little contrived at the beginning, but it really got way better. First 20 minutes, meh.
It actually did. Yeah, it felt a little slow, and yeah, I think it didn't completely make sense in the beginning, but towards the end, all of the characters fit together better. And it had a good ending at the end. I don't want to give away the ending, but it had a good ending at the end. It wasn't, yeah, it was satisfying.
Maybe a little bit at the beginning. It felt a little bit slow. It got interesting. So yeah, the chemistry was good from all the actors.
Yeah, I think the leads, Hugh Jackman and Thandie Newton, I thought they were really convincing in their roles. Yeah, really compelling.
I think Thandie Newton really did a great job at being a complicated character that was just very real. She was kind of like, okay, this is what's going on now, so this is what we need to do. And I really liked the relationship between her and I always forget his name, and it's embarrassing. Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman was amazing. He was so sincere and authentic and like sweet and hot. He was all the things you're supposed to be when you're like leading a movie. And
he was hot.
Yeah.
So those were a few opinions of last night's screening. Big shout out and a big thank you to all those who volunteered, who took the time. So now let's get into my review. As mentioned earlier, Hugh Jackman plays a character named Nick. He is an ex-war hero. He used to be in the Navy, and he has his own business. He uses this machine in order to access people's memories. It was used during the war for interrogations, but now it's more of a therapeutic coping mechanism. It's his own business. It's Nick's own business that he uses because we are set, and this movie is set in a dark time, and the movie gives you that right off the bat. It tells you where the setting is. It tells you what kind of times people are living in, and that's what the movie does really well. This movie is dark. I mean, dark. War had just broken out. The whole world is flooded. Just picture the whole world being like Venice, Italy. So the movie really touches on that psychological element that people just want to live in the past. It's such a crappy time that people are living in this movie that they don't want to look ahead. They don't even want to live in the present. They just want to look back at the good times. And that's where they go to Hugh Jackman in order to get into this machine. They pay for this thing just so they can relive certain memories. So really, right off the bat, the movie touches this social issues, global issues. I mean, the whole world is flooded. Everyone wants to live in the past, but of course, only the rich can do it because they can afford it. And it's funny because this movie is supposedly set in a very dark future. Water levels are rising. People are living indoors. They don't want to go out. People just want to live in the past. They just wish they could be in the good times that we used to have. And wait, does that sound familiar? Man, does that sound familiar? I mean, we're living that right now. I mean, yeah, sure, we're not drowning, but it really does feel like we're just in that future. Like, we're not too far off. But now getting into the plot of the movie, in the beginning, it feels like it's going in two different directions because we know the main premise that he's going to look for this girl, but Nick is also involved in something else. And it seems like the story is being split into two, but then we realize that these two are actually connected in some way. So he's involved in both things. All the actors here are great. They're not bad actors. I feel like it's just what they were giving is what made it seem as if the performance was lacking. Hugh Jackman is obviously great. I mean, come on. The Wolverine. Who doesn't like the Wolverine? But I feel like Hugh Jackman here is just narrating a bit too much throughout the movie. It's like if I want to hear somebody narrate, I'll download an Amazon audiobook or something, but I don't even listen to audiobooks, so I wouldn't care. The story has to establish a romance because he is on a journey to find this girl that has gone missing, but the movie kind of rushes into that really quick. It has to get into it quick so that way we can get into the investigations there. So there's no really much time for that romance to be established. There's really no chemistry. I feel like Hugh Jackman has more chemistry with Thandie Newton. And Daniel Wu is seemingly the villain, but then another character gets introduced later on. And I won't say who, but one of them doesn't last long. And then the movie just feels like it was just the villains were split into two. So we could have just had a one strong opposing threat throughout the whole movie instead of just having two and then having them not much screen time. They just have to share screen time, but it's not enough to feel like there's an opposing threat. But the whole mystery behind this, the whole journey, it feels a little bit convoluted because there's so many names, there's so many things that happen that I found myself tending to forget, okay, wait a minute, who's this person? There's so many names mentioned throughout, and it's kind of hard to keep up because there's a lot of information, a lot of tangled webs, and you're like, okay, this person was hired by this person. Oh wait, this person wasn't really involved. It was actually this person that was involved. So it's a lot of dots to connect. Just be mindful of that. If you're someone that it's hard for you to keep up with all this information, then you will have a hard time keeping up. But hey, it's coming out tomorrow on HBO Max, so you can just pause it and rewind. All right, so the ending, my goodness, the ending. I'm trying to think of a way to say it without spoiling it, but I feel like no matter what I say, even if I don't describe what goes on, I'm gonna spoil it. It would only get spoiled if you know the following director that I'm about to mention and the movie as well. The ending, in the end, you feel like you got Shyamalan. And what I mean is if you saw The Sixth Sense, the ending, it feels almost like that. You just got Shyamalan by M. Night Shyamalan. It's not entirely the same, but it just feels close to that because you feel like, okay, this whole time, this was actually happening. That's all I'm gonna say. It just feels like you got Shyamalan. This movie does have elements of other properties as well. It feels as if it's a mix of Blade Runner with Inception and even Assassin's Creed, a video game. Has those similar sci-fi elements as Blade Runner. And when it comes to Inception, the movie has to put you in the perspective of a memory. It feels much like Inception when you're being put in the perspective of the person's dream. This whole world is not really real, but it's a dream. But in this case, it's just memory. And once again, I find myself saying this could have been a successful video game movie. Just take out the romance, add one good villain, and boom, you would have had a great Assassin's Creed. So the big question is it worth paying money to go see it in theaters? I would say just wait until it comes out tomorrow on HBO Max, if you have HBO Max. If you don't, you're better off just paying the $15 subscription instead of $30, $40 for however many tickets. Or unless you go to early screeners like myself. But regardless, I had a good time and I would say it's worth having a movie night. I promise no more changes. I'm just gonna keep this rating as a movie night. It's worth having a movie night either with friends or with a loved one. Whether you like it or whether you don't and you just roast about it, then hey, at least you have a good time doing it. It's worth having a movie night. All right, so Reminiscence, if you've seen it or if you're gonna see it, go ahead and drop your opinions and thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, then smash that like button, smash the subscribe button so you won't miss out any videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.